What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson, and it looks like Marvel Studios is actually going to reboot the MCU. Now, of course, they're not going to do this right now. It's happening after Avengers Secret Wars, or should I say in Avengers Secret Wars. And that's a little telling about the movie. It means that not everything is going to go according to the Avengers and other heroes like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. All the other teams, it's not going to go according to their plans. And at the end of Kang Dynasty, the heroes will most likely lose, and the multiverse will begin to essentially fall apart and collapse, and probably be under the control of the Council of Kangs and the Kang Trio, Ramatut, Immortus, and the Scarlet Centurion. Then in Avengers Secret Wars, the Avengers might win, along with the other heroes. However, that doesn't mean they'll necessarily be able to restore the damage that has been done. And that is where the MCU reboot comes in. And this new reboot could essentially get rid of the Avengers, which sounds crazy, but of course, they're doing this to make way for the X-Men. And based off of everything that we've heard so far about Secret Wars, it sounds like the Avengers and some other characters are going to get a pretty good send-off. So we'll break down what we hear is going to happen during and at the end of Secret Wars and how the new MCU will begin. And if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU news. We're also doing a big giveaway right now. We'll talk more about that at the end. So for a few weeks now, a lot of insiders have talked about Secret Wars being a reboot to the MCU once it is done. Now, a lot of people are wondering what that means. Is this going to start the MCU completely over from the beginning? Is everything that has happened before from Iron Man up until now going to be erased? That's a thought that can upset some people, understandably so. I wouldn't want the entirety of what we've already gotten in the MCU to be erased, but fortunately for us, it does not sound like that is going to be the case. From what we are hearing from a lot of insiders, this is going to be a soft reboot. So not everything is going to be completely erased. However, moving forward in the MCU, things are going to be pretty new. In a way, this is kind of the best of both worlds. We get to keep the past, everything that we've loved up until now, but moving forward, we get a brand new future. The recent report coming from insider Can We Get Some Toast, who stated on Twitter yesterday, yes, Hugh Jackman won't be recast until after Avengers Secret Wars. Now, to touch on that part real quick, because we've all been hearing about a new Wolverine for the MCU being cast and shown to us in Deadpool 3, what this tweet is referring to is that Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is going to be our main Wolverine in the MCU until Secret Wars. It's not until after Secret Wars where a new Wolverine will take the spotlight. Yes, we still might have a very good idea of who the new Wolverine is in Deadpool 3, like some insiders have implied, but even if we do see the newly casted Wolverine for the new MCU after Secret Wars, he will not come into play until after Secret Wars. In the meantime, it is going to remain Hugh Jackman, as it should, because he's making an epic return to his character of Wolverine and joining the MCU. Plus, the new X-Men teams aren't going to be established until after Secret Wars anyways, so it wouldn't really make sense to have a new Wolverine in the MCU right now. But the rest of the report from Can We Get Some Toast states this: Feige is making Secret Wars the send-off to not only the current MCU, but all the Marvel movies that come before Iron Man. It's the ultimate soft reboot to make way for something all new and all different. Now, if you understand what they are saying here, it's actually pretty awesome, because when they say it's going to be a send-off not only to the current MCU, but all the Marvel movies that came before Iron Man, you know that that means we're talking about everything from the first X-Men movie to Spider-Man to Daredevil with Ben Affleck and everything else in between up until Iron Man, and then from Iron Man to Avengers Endgame to Secret Wars. So essentially, Secret Wars is going to give us a farewell and a send-off to everything that has literally happened with Marvel before Secret Wars up to Secret Wars, which is crazy to think about. Now, we've known for a while that Kevin Feige wanted to do this. He wanted to bring back the original X-Men, the original Fantastic Four, Ben Affleck's Daredevil, Elektra with Jennifer Garner, The Punisher with Thomas Jane, Nick Cage's Ghost Rider, so on and so forth. If you think about everything that's come before and you think about the possibility of all of these old legacy characters being on screen with our new MCU characters, that's an absolutely insane thought. Plus, not to mention, this is the multiverse, and Secret Wars is all about the multiverse. So there, of course, is the possibility that these characters can be on screen with Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, with Chris Evans' Captain America. They can come back specifically to be a part of this farewell. Now, of course, they're going to be from another universe, but hopefully they would suit up for the same character to give them a proper goodbye. And really, it's a big, giant thank you. Thank you to everything that has come before the MCU. Thank you to the start and the foundation of the MCU and everything that has led up to now. It's very poetic and is kind of Kevin Feige's love letter to everything, to all Marvel. I love it. I love the idea, but let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Now, the future of the MCU after Secret Wars, after this poetic goodbye, could possibly be even more insane than what we've already seen. We'll talk about that in just a bit, but first, big thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Many of you may know that I personally use HelloFresh and I love it. It makes cooking fun, easy, and it's affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit delivered straight to your door. And you might not know that they actually have seasonal recipes. Right now, since it's summer, they have their new Fresh and Fit summer menu. So if you're trying to get that beach bud, but you're also trying to eat really great tasting food, it's perfect for you. Right now, it's peak time for summer produce, and HelloFresh makes sure you get all the best picks all season long. Their ingredients travel from the farm to your door in less than 7 days for quality you can taste. If you are trying to impress your friends this summer by doing some cooking for them, HelloFresh makes it super simple. They give you all of the ingredients and tell you exactly how to make each meal. And the best part is, right now you can go to hellofresh.com/50cosmic and use code 50cosmic for 50% off plus 15% off the next 2 months. That's hellofresh.com/50cosmic and use code 50cosmic for 50% off plus 15% off the next 2 months. Now, for the future of the MCU, starting with what we're going to assume is Phase 7, but if they are doing a soft reboot, could go back and call it Phase 1, or possibly get rid of phases altogether. Or maybe call it something like Universe 2, or something like Universe 900 Phase 1. Whatever it may be, the new start of the new MCU after Secret Wars. This will begin and primarily focus on the X-Men. And what most of us assume it's going to be like is the Avengers. Just like how the Avengers started in Phase 1, we assume that the X-Men will basically begin the same way. Why? Well, because it worked. It worked with Phase 1. It worked with Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and yes, the Hulk, even though it was a different Hulk, but it also worked with the other characters they introduced in these movies that would go on to be a part of the Avengers team, like Hawkeye and Black Widow. They introduced the individual characters, gave us their origin stories, and they were brought together to form the Avengers. It was fantastic, and if you were there at the start of the MCU and were old enough to go to the theaters at that point in time and watch the Avengers come together in that film, you know how amazing it was. This model is pretty much perfect for a big ensemble team coming together. So what we hope and assume that Phase 7 or Phase 1 of a different universe is going to be like is like Phase 1 of the MCU that we know and love. However, we'll start with the X-Men. So we'll get introduced to Wolverine, maybe Rogue, maybe Professor X, Magneto, and I'm sure some of the stories will be put into one as well. Perhaps they do a movie about Professor X and Magneto's relationship, even though that would kind of be like First Class, but it's in the MCU, so it would be different. But ultimately, you have individual solo movies giving us origin stories of X-Men in this universe, or mutants, I should say, and then ultimately, you have an X-Men film where they all come together. That way, it's a giant, huge event, just like the first Avengers film, and then you can go on to do it like the other Avengers films, where they come back together, and they're these really big events that make fans super excited because they only come around once every few years. And then ultimately you could have a huge X-Men, Avengers, Fantastic Four, whatever event again, like Avengers Endgame, and of course, Avengers Secret Wars. And I know everybody is hoping that at some point in time we do get an Avengers vs. X-Men film. And since the X-Men are going to play such a huge role in the new MCU, you might be asking, well, what is going to happen to the Avengers? And since this is going to be a soft reboot, we are assuming that some of the old characters from Phase 4, Phase 5, or Phase 6 will bleed over into the new universe. Characters like Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel. During the show Miss Marvel, we learned that she is kind of a mutant. So it is possible that her story goes over into the new MCU where she might actually end up becoming an X-Men. And it is of course possible that characters like Doctor Strange or the Scarlet Witch due to their magical powers could stick around in the new universe as well. Right now, we're unsure of which characters are going to be sticking around, but we do know that the X-Men are going to be new and they're going to play a huge part in the beginning of this new chapter of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Heck, perhaps they'll even call it Chapter 2. Chapter 2, Phase 1. Hit me up, Marvel. I got ideas. But let me know what you think about all of this in the comments down below. Do you like the idea of a soft reboot? Does this sound good to you, or would you have it some other way? And if you would, please let me know what that way would be. So don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up on all the latest MCU news, and of course like the video. And if you subscribe and leave a comment, you're automatically entered in our giveaway for a chance to win an Xbox Series X, a PS5, some Marvel Legends items, or some DC items. We pick one winner at the end of each month, and the winner gets to pick one item. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter as well. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.